Hello readers, I'm Amy, and today I've got a discussion video for you. So a quick disclaimer beforehand, I am not trying to be political or make any grand political statements. This video is my current personal opinions, which are totally open to debate. Please feel free to comment down below and have a conversation. However, I also understand that the personal is political. So I am not trying to be problematic. Like I said, I am totally open to conversations on this. Really, I should have done like a get ready with me or something for this video to give you something interesting to watch, but I was doing my makeup while I was watching the video that inspired this. So, to get to the topic of today, like I said, I was doing my makeup, and I like to watch videos on YouTube while I do my makeup, listen to them, and do my eyes and everything. And I was watching Daniel Green's latest fantasy news video, and he talked about the three-body problem and how some stuff came up with that. So apparently, I'm not up to date on world news. I should be, but like most people, I am very burned out on world news, and for my own personal mental health, I can only take so much before I'm like checking out. There is an issue with Muslims in China and concentration camps or internment camps. I'm not sure if there's actually much difference, but apparently a lot of people are getting put into camps in China, and that's a problem. And the author of The Three-Body Problem, which, as you can see, I own a physical copy, is apparently... I'll have to put on the screen the statement that he actually set out. Let's not put people between a rock and a hard place. But I just wanted to chat about problematic authors a little bit. So clearly, because of the issue that happened, which I will also be linking Daniel Green's video for this, so you know what I'm talking about, this author has become a little bit of a problem, and people are going to be like, hey, should I read this series? Should I not read this series? So, to start off with, as you may know, I watch quite a bit of Emily Fox. She inspires a lot of the science fiction books that I pick up, and she really enjoyed this series. This was before the news came out about this author being a problem. Just want to say that. And again, before the news came out, I'm like, oh, that book sounds interesting. I think I'm going to pick it up. I think I might enjoy that. So I did get this from Barnes & Noble, and I have been wanting to read it. It apparently cost $18 because Barnes & Noble is a little pricey. But that brings to mind, like, should I be reading this book if the author is being a problem? Because, not that people weren't problematic before COVID, but COVID is really bringing out some of the big problems in our societies. And while I don't at all agree with what the author has stated, I don't like what is going on in China, I will probably still read this. Now, just to clarify, again, I'm not really trying to make any particular political statements. I do not agree with the author. However, there are some other factors that I'm kind of thinking about. I've also been watching a lot of Smoky Glow. She's a makeup channel. She does like makeup drama. She does anti-hauls and stuff. And in discussing kind of anti-hauls and problematic YouTubers, she was discussing her channel size, her channel influence, and how having 200,000 subscribers, like, she's got to think, should I really be talking about this product? Should I be talking about this creator? Because I have to consider how much influence I have. And for me, I've got, 570 some subscribers, so not a lot of influence, and that makes me think I have a little more freedom in what I read versus someone who has 200,000 subscribers, because I'm not making that much of an impact. However, I do have a lot of friends, I do have a lot of people who have come to me and been like, hey, you really inspired me to pick this up. So I may have a small influence, but I still have an influence, and I need to take that into account. Should I be reading books that are problematic if I even have a little bit of an influence? Even if it's not big, I still have some influence. Note from editing me, whenever it comes to being an influence, the average everyday person who doesn't have a YouTube channel, who isn't big on Instagram or Twitter, honestly, they're probably not going to necessarily take into account the authors that they're reading. So if you're looking at your diet, you might look at being vegetarian or being vegan. That's something that is more in our face with media. That's something that more people think about. Whenever it comes to picking up a book, the average person doesn't usually look into the author that much to see whether or not they're a problem. So that's something else to think about, is those are the people that we might be influencing, that we might be able to impact by saying, hey, this is a problem and you shouldn't read this, or here's my thoughts on this problematic author. It's kind of hard to take your own influence into account when you know that the larger demographic, they're going to do what they're going to do. Something else that I'd kind of like to point out here is videos that are like, I read this book, so you don't have to. I watched this show, so you don't have to. Okay, they don't have to. No one has to do anything. But you're still bringing attention to that piece of media. So if you're like, I read Midnight Sun, so you don't have to. That makes an interesting video, but those people might still pick up that book anyways because they want to have that same experience that you did. So even if you're reading something so someone else doesn't have to, you're still kind of encouraging them to pick it up. There's a lot to think about whenever it comes to influence, how we're influencing people, where people take their influence and advice from, how much does the everyday person actually look into this stuff, how much should you look into this stuff. Something else that I would want to take into account in considering whether I'm going to read this, I did buy this book. It has been over 60 days since I bought this book, so I can't really return it. I've invested $18 in it. I was interested in reading it. So how much does my money mean to me? The consumerist thing I'm not going to get into. Consumerism on BookTube is coming up again as an issue. This video is not about that. I will say that I have a 40-hour-a-week job. I'm doing a little bit of design work and getting some extra here and there. My bills are pretty good right now because with our living situation, I've been able to get a good amount of things paid off, so I have a little more freedom in my shopping. That's what I'll say. So $18 for a book isn't necessarily going to make a dent for me. It's not going to be... It's not like I spent $50 on this book. I spent $20, which for me is not the biggest impact. It is something definitely to take into account, but for me it's not necessarily something to cry over. That said, books are important to me, and this is a story that I'm interested in, and I did invest in this book, so should I read it? Should I give it up? I don't really know what I should do. Everyone's going to have different opinions on what I should do. Me personally, right now, I would still like to read this, and I do have a smaller subscriber count, and I can make sure to say when reading this, hey, I don't agree with what this author is doing, I'm here for the story. Which brings up another point, is artist and art. So I've had this conversation with a couple of different people. Should we separate art from the artist? I think we can. Whether or not we always should, that is very much up for debate. Recently, so between my last unhaul and now, I know my last unhaul wasn't that long ago, but in between then I have filmed a small kind of vlog clip for my next unhaul, which will be released, probably in November or December, and I ended up unhauling my copy of Mein Kampf. Now, that is Hitler's book. Hitler is, of course, a terrible person. I am in no way supporting anything that Hitler has done. I am not a Nazi. I don't support Nazis. They're terrible. However, Hitler no longer being alive is something to take into account, so I'm not supporting him financially in any way. I was interested in reading Mein Kampf because I have one of those brains that's just like, oh, that's dark and twisted. I want to know more about it. So in my mind, I'm thinking what Hitler did was terrible, but I also, the psychology student in me is kind of coming out and being like, what exactly was going on in his mind? Like, I'm thinking, I could pick up a cheap copy of Mein Kampf from the Friends of the Library, which I did. It cost me like $1. And I was curious. I did not end up reading that. I ended up unhauling it. I had a small discussion on problematic authors whenever I did the vlog clip, which again, you'll see that in the future. But I had a couple of reasons for unhauling it. One, I was going through a thing, J.K. Rowling released another thing, and I'm just like, I was in a mood. Also, having that debate with myself again, should I be reading a problematic author, whether or not I support them personally? And honestly, I'd also heard that Mein Kampf was a pretty boring read, and I'm like, I'm probably never going to read this. It's something on my TBR shelf that I'm not particularly interested in. I am trying to bring down my TBR a little, but that was definitely a conversation that I had to have with myself is, should I or should I not read Mein Kampf? What are my reasons why? And in that vlog clip, again, that you'll see in the future, I'm also discussing J.K. Rowling and some of the books that I have passed on. I do still have the Harry Potter series on my shelf. I have the first 4 illustrated books, which I've gotten on sale or which I've gotten through friends. I have all of the original books that I bought, which are currently at my parents' house because my mom is wanting to reread them. No hate on my mom. I love my mom. She's great. I don't really talk about politics with my family. I don't really want to bring that into our relationship. It's one of those, I don't want to rock the boat if I don't feel that I particularly have to. And those Harry Potter books, those physical books, do carry a lot of memories for me. When's the last time I read them? Probably in college. I don't know that I'm particularly interested in rereading them again. However, they do bring a lot of memories for me. But also, how much should sentimentality really be taken into account? Like, I can still enjoy those memories without having those books. I guess that kind of depends on the person and how much the physical reminder means to you versus how much just the memory means to you. This is something that I think Victoria, from What Victoria Read, discussed whenever it was one of her videos. She was talking about some copies of Harry Potter and how her trans friends mean more to her, or people's rights mean more to her than her memories. And that's a really good point to take into account. That's something to really think about. For now, my Harry Potter books, like I said, they're all at my parents' house. They're not currently on my shelves, which makes me feel a little bit better, like I can still enjoy those memories. They're still within my reach, but they're not on my shelves. I'm not showing them in my videos. I'm not currently financially supporting her in any way. I am telling you, I don't like what she's doing. I do think she's come out as a pretty terrible person. But by enjoying the artwork, how much am I really supporting the artist? I don't know. Like I said, I do still want to read this book. I have financially invested in this book. I'm also telling you, hey, I'm not at all supporting what the author's done. Something else, actually, that I want to point out is the authors that we do support. So let's look at J.K. Rowling. We've known since last December that she was anti-trans. However, most of BookTube, most people in general, still very much supported her until she brought up the trans thing a second time this year. Did I take issue with that? Yes. Did I still enjoy Harry Potter stuff? Also, yes. And that's something to really think about, is at what point do people stop supporting an author? What does an author have to do for you to be like, okay, there's my line? Because J.K. Rowling had created problems before people actually started doing anything about it. Long before people started doing anything about it. And that also brings to mind Cassandra Clare. She's done some pretty horrible stuff publishing-wise with taking other people's art and stuff. And you also have the problem of incest, which kind of to each their own with reading tastes. People have brought up incest and age issues as problems in books and reasons that they won't support them. That, like I said, is to each their own. But a lot of people have been upset at Cassandra Clare for introducing incest into a storyline. And people have been vocal about that for a while. But there are still a lot of people on BookTube and in the wider communities in general who very much support her as an author, even though she has proved herself to be a problem. And in the same line as Cassandra Clare, I also have the original V.C. Andrews books on my shelf. If you've read V.C. Andrews, you'll probably be aware that Flowers in the Attic is pretty incestuous. Her writing in general kind of skates that line there. A lot of it has to do with incest and family relationships, and it's really creepy and horrific, but also these are books that I have really, really enjoyed. They're books that I have a lot of memories about. It's kind of a guilty pleasure read. And unlike Cassandra Clare, V.C. Andrews is no longer alive. I'm no longer financially supporting her. But how much does my financial support really matter if I'm still vocalizing my enjoyment of a book? I don't know. Those are some things to think about. Editing me popping in here really quick, there's another author and book that I forgot to mention that I meant to. Stephenie Meyer and Midnight Sun. We have known for a while. She caused problems for the Quileute tribe. She wrote about a really abusive relationship, and people are still supporting her as an author. They are still reading Midnight Sun. The idea is, hey, if we donate to the Quileute tribe, we can read Midnight Sun. Hey, reading Midnight Sun as a vlog and trashing it is going to get a lot of views on my channel. So no shade to those people. I have enjoyed watching those vlogs and those Instagram stories. They are fun to see. It's fun to see someone trash an author. However, by purchasing Midnight Sun, whether or not you donate to the Quileute tribe, whether or not you trash the book, you have purchased Midnight Sun, you have put money into Stephenie Meyer, you have put money into that publishing company, and you have told the world that you are financially supporting that author, whether or not they are a problem. Again, trash the author all you want. Talk about the problems of Edward and Bella's relationship all you want. You still put money into that book, and you put time on your channel that has influence for people, whether or not it's influencing one person or influencing several. And this is not at all an excuse for those people. It's just another point to think about, is if you see other people supporting that problematic author, you don't feel quite so bad sometimes about supporting that author yourself. If you see someone doing a Midnight Sun review and being like, oh, that looks like a lot of fun, it gave them a lot of reviews, or a lot of views on their channel, I don't think I'll like that book, but I'm going to pick it up anyways, just so I can trash it and have fun with it and get those views. That happens. You might see someone who's really benefiting from that bad book, even though they know it's a bad book and they're telling people it's a bad book. But that can make you feel a little bit better about financially supporting that book as well, because the thing is, money talks. Unfortunately, I have financially supported The Three-Body Problem by purchasing it, even though it was before all of this stuff came out about the author. So just something else to think about. I just watched the Daniel Green video where he talked about The Three-Body Problem, and I felt like being chatty. If you want to have a conversation on this, please comment down below. Would love to talk to you all about this. Let me know your thoughts. My politics, my personal politics, are always in development. I'm always trying to learn more things and be up to date on my education. So yeah, I hope you've liked this video. Please, if you have, like, subscribe, be my friend on social media. I'll see all of you in my next video. Bye, friends.